Good afternoon. I appreciate everybody taking time to listen to my podcast. My name is Allan Brown, and the name of the podcast is Allan Brown Resume Writing and Job Searching. This afternoon, we're going to be talking about best practices for resume writing, also including cover letters, LinkedIn profiles, and we're going to touch a little bit on job searching and what's going on in the market today. Today, I have my friend and client, Dasha, with me.
Hi, guys.
Dasha has just finished up her undergrad and she's just enrolled in graduate school, but she's also looking to be able to find her first full-time career job. Dasha, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, in terms of resumes and so forth, the resume thing is a little bit different than it used to be, and resumes are unfortunately, and most of this will go for a different conversation. They are tracked by something called an applicant tracking system, also known as ATS. So when I write a resume, as you can see on the resume that I put together for you, all the resumes that come off my desk are going to be what we call ATS compliant. So if you notice in your resume, we had a headline.
Yeah.
We had your city, state, and zip code, not your physical address, because they don't need to know where you live right now when you're applying. But we have city, state, and zip code. We have a professional summary, and we also have a breakout of your core competencies / areas of expertise, also known as keywords. And then we go into your experience in the coursework and so forth that you've done. Now, you always on your resume, you're not really actively looking to leave San Francisco, but if you were to decide to look for a job in, let's say, Los Angeles, you're probably going to want to consider changing your address line from San Francisco, California, and your zip code to Los Angeles, California. With the zip code.
Zip code.
Okay, because they need to have the 5-digit zip code string. Otherwise, they can't search by Los Angeles, California, but they can search by Los Angeles, California 92001.
Makes sense.
Because they're going to be looking for somebody within 50 miles of where they are. And if you have a San Francisco address on there and you are going to be looking in Los Angeles, you want to make sure that you can be able to get picked up by the applicant tracking system. And then when you're picked up and you qualify for an interview, then you can explain that you're relocating to Los Angeles.
Okay. Do I have to mention the city? Like if I'm moving to Los Angeles, it's a Los Angeles and a zip code, or just a zip code?
It'll be Los Angeles, California, and the zip code. But the zip code is critically important.
Okay.
And you can always go online to be able to Google and find a zip code, Los Angeles zip codes, and you'll come up with 70 of them.
Okay.
And you'll be able to choose one. That's critically important. And a lot of people forget to do that, and therefore they're not getting calls, or they fall lower in the algorithm, and they're not scoring high enough. Let's make sure you score high on the geography, especially in this world where companies are having a really hard time defining remote work from hybrid work, and then of course they're going to want you in the office, and at least 4 days a week, maybe 5. Let's make sure that you qualify geography wise.
Okay.
Now, if you remember on the resume that I wrote for you, we had a headline. Okay, and the headline of the resume 10 years ago was about what you did for a living at that point. Now it's about what they're looking for. So it's really been kind of flipped. Okay, so if you're looking at a job and your job says communication specialist, which is something with your degree in psychology that you have experience with, you want the title of your resume to match the title of the job that you're applying for.
Okay.
We don't want to have it paraphrased. Make it match. Now, on the resume that I wrote for you, we made that as communications coordinator. You can use that if you're networking. And we're going to talk more about networking in a moment. But if you're networking, keep the headline as is, as long as you're going for those type of jobs. But if you know the exact title of the job, please change it to match. And you're doing that for the ATS, but you're also doing that for the reader, who I affectionately call the eyeballs. So, and you heard me talk about that in the past. You're doing it for the ATS, and you're doing it for the reader / eyeballs.
Got it.
Now, the professional summary is pretty strong. I don't think you're going to have to really make any changes to your summary statement. You're going for the same type of job. Let it work for you. If there's something that you read and you want to tweak it, absolutely, it's your resume. But if you're staying within that realm, don't worry so much about it. If you want to do a tweak here and there, that's cool, that's fine. But otherwise, let it work for you.
Okay.
And if you also notice, I mentioned the fact that you have a degree in the resume.
Yeah.
The education section might be further down the resume, but let's let them know you have the qualifications education-wise. If they're reading it, let's let them know right away and not have to dig.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's a little bit of a subtle marketing thing to let them know, yes, you fit the educational criteria. Now, the next section is where people, as we talked about in the past, get a little bit stumped. I call it areas of expertise, core competencies, core skills, signature strengths. In your resume, we call it the core competencies, but all they are keywords. And this is vitally important. This is super important for the ATS, and it's super important for the reader. So as you're going through a job description and you see certain words they're using, if they're using, in your resume I put project management, but if they're using the term project coordination, you change that from project management to project coordination. If they're using a term, just for argument's sake, marketing promotions management, and your resume has just marketing promotions administration, then just change it to marketing promotions management. We have 4 lines on your resume with keywords. There's always enough room for you to be able to add another line. You shouldn't have to add very much more, but you want the words to match. The applicant tracking systems, ATS, they can't read gray. It has to be exact, no paraphrasing. We want it to be exact, black and white. And we're also doing it for the reader, because if the reader sees that you're using the same language that they are, they know you took the time to read the ad, and therefore we're going to get them to read the rest of the resume. And when they see that you have the qualifications and the education and the credentials that they're looking for, they're going to say, if this person actually took the time to read the ad and everything here looks good, this is probably somebody I want to be able to talk to. They're serious about this.
Okay.
And so this is all in the top 1/3 of the resume.
So the keywords are important.
Very important, because the applicant tracking system is using the keywords based what's in the job description or on the job posting. Now, I know that you were a little bit afraid or a little weary last time, but you've used this a couple times now. It should only take you about 2 to 3 minutes to make all the changes I've just discussed. It shouldn't take you very much longer. Were you having any problems making any of the changes?
No. No problems.
Very straightforward. I mean, especially because you weren't changing location, but it's all very straightforward. You don't have to do 20 minutes on a resume to keep changing it for every job. You'll drive yourself crazy.
Yeah.
You don't have time for that. You got better things to do. You have a life to live.
Yeah.
Okay, you have a life to live. You're looking for jobs. The last thing you want to do is stress out about it, saying, "Okay, I can only apply for 10 jobs today, so it'll take me 20 minutes to change the resume." I mean, it's silly.
Yeah, that would be a lot.
yeah, it's a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So, if the top 1/3 of that resume that we discussed, and we're discussing again here today, is consistent with what the hiring manager and the company is looking for, then I think you're going to end up in the positive pile. You're going to get through the ATS systems, and if they're reading it, you should certainly be able to get through there. That's
the goal.
I want lots of yays.
Yeah.
Right, so, do you have any special questions about the top 1/3?
I don't have questions at the moment. Yeah,
Okay.
you explained everything.
Okay. Now, the education section is important because in most of the jobs that you're looking for, they're going to say we're looking for somebody with a bachelor's degree in communications and psychology and in marketing communications and communication studies and broadcasting. There's so many different majors and so forth.
Yeah.
But you always want to make sure that you're applying for the right jobs. If you think you're going to start to stretch, be careful about that, because there's a lot of competition. It's not a good use of your time. So unless you're networking, and I strongly recommend that you network like crazy, okay, stay within your proverbial wheelhouse.
Okay.
And stay within what you're doing. Now, that brings me to a topic that's super important, and that's networking.
Networking.
It's not fun, is it?
Sometimes. maybe.
You probably get to meet some nice
Yeah,
people, and
yeah.
you get to reconnect with
Yeah.
some old some old friends, family friends, colleagues, people from your past jobs, from people from school and so forth. But you're learning in this, with all the changes that have happened in the job market, in the last several years, that networking is really the best way to go.
Yeah.
That's where the best jobs are, and that the best jobs are not always published. So you can spend time on Indeed, and you can spend time on Glassdoor, and you can spend time using the easy apply method on LinkedIn. But that's not really a great use of your time. One, some of those jobs aren't going to be the best, and secondly, they're going to get hundreds of applicants. So you got to keep networking. You got to, through through local communication industry associations, through professional associations of marketing and communications professionals would be perfect for you. Different types of digital marketing organizations and companies that do digital marketing that are part of these organizations. A little bit of a Google search, you'll be able to find them. And you want to use LinkedIn as the power of that to be able to get the names of people who are in your industry. Have you been able to use LinkedIn for that at all?
I actually was going to mention that I have an account on LinkedIn, but I'm not really satisfied with that. I think I will need to fix that a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, we should take a look at your LinkedIn account and make sure that we one, make it consistent with your resume for networking purposes, because we want all the information to be consistent. The job titles, the classes, the dates of the jobs that you've had, your graduation date, and so forth. We want everything to be consistent, but we also want to make sure that we have the right keywords in the skills section, in the about section, and even in the headline of your LinkedIn profile. The headline of your LinkedIn profile is not supposed to say recent college grad in the name of your school. No. We need to be able to use the keywords, because that will raise you higher in the algorithm. So we'll take a good look at that, but we want to use words like marketing communications, digital marketing, communications, communication studies, psychology, the different things that you've become versed in school, and also in an internship and so forth that you've done, so that we can be able to better position you. We'll take a look at the LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
But LinkedIn, it can be a very powerful tool in that for your networking, because you can be able to join LinkedIn groups. You can go to companies and say, I really would love a marketing communications job. Who is a marketing manager at this company? And then you can find them and you can ask them to connect and let them know what you're doing, and you can just keep building up your network that way.
Is it important to mention that, like, some of classes that I took at school for my major,
Absolutely.
like some of the psychology classes,
Yeah.
are people interested in this information, or it's extra?
I think that they're interested in that information because they want to know that you're well trained.
Okay.
Okay, look, you're just coming out of school.
Yeah.
Okay, they're not expecting you to be the next vice president of communications by the time you hit 25 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe by 35.
Maybe by 32. You're pretty smart.
32.
Yeah, you're pretty smart. You're on top of it. But no, but the point is that you want to show your dedication to the field. So when we take a look at your LinkedIn profile, because you're a new grad, let's make sure we have all your courses. And as you go forward with your career and you take certifications and you take special training classes and so forth, let's add them. And if you join the Digital Marketing Association of Northern California, you want to add that to your organization. So you want to be able to have a full profile.
Okay.
Okay, the full profile will raise you in the algorithm, and will also show to the hiring manager that you're dedicated to the field and that you're dedicated to professional development. Now, you're on the younger side, but older workers, okay, 50 plus, who are really become victims of age discrimination, one of the things that they fail to have done is to keep up on their professional development. They got to keep getting, everybody should be doing it, whether you're 18 or whether you're 65. If you're still in the job market, keep learning. When you stop learning, you die.
Yeah.
And so always keep your certifications going, always keep training, make it a point to take some classes, even if it's just, in the short term, a couple LinkedIn learning classes per week. always take those and add them in. It shows your dedication to the field and that you're always trying to stay on top of the game. Older workers need to do this because older workers who have sat on their laurels because they had a bachelor's degree from 1985. Well, that's great that you have a bachelor's degree and it's great that you had a nice career. But tell me a little bit about what you know about social media.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you heard
That's
of Twitter?
A good point.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Twitter? I mean.
That's a good question.
Well, there's a lot. You got to stay on top of it. So, your question about coursework is very important, and it's a very valid question. We want that right now in your resume. We will have it. As you grow a little bit older, we might take off the college courses, but we keep the trainings on. Any trainings from
and
the last
add more
10 years.
certificates.
Yeah.
Or whatever I work on.
Exactly. We just add those on. The college courses fall off. The more recent stuff falls on because we want to show the hiring manager your dedication.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly important. But you got to keep you want to keep current and you want to keep the networking, and the networking is going to be the best way to be able to find the jobs that you're looking for.
Okay.
So in the part-time jobs that you're holding, as you're kind of getting your feet wet and looking for things, just keep meeting people and keep networking. Go to those events that are kind of you might think they're a little quirky, but you'll find them. Go to them. It just takes one person who's going to be like, this woman is on top of her game. I know somebody that would love to be able to utilize her skills and her passion. And all of a sudden you got an interview.
Yeah.
You might not know that person, but you got an interview. That's networking.
So networking is important.
I have a client, this happened this morning, and he wrote me a note, and he was like, I'm not getting any traction with the resume. Now, with all my clients that I work with, there's a lot of interaction. As you know, we talk a lot.
Yeah.
And at the end of the project, I said, this is what you need to be able to do. You need to network. Stop relying on Indeed. Stop relying on Glassdoor. Stop relying on all the other job boards, and get out there and meet people. Well, he was saying, I've sent out 30 resumes in the last 2 weeks, and I haven't heard back. And I'm like, well, first off, 2 weeks is nothing. 30 is not that much. So you got to give it a little bit more time. But you're not networking if you're sitting behind your computer and playing with your computer and applying for jobs on Glassdoor, and then going to Facebook and checking out, see what your friends are doing, and then going back and applying for a couple more jobs, and then going and taking a look at the sports to see how your soccer team did.
That's not serious.
No, it's not serious at all. So I kind of had to have one of those conversations and said, look, time to ramp up. And if you want to continue working with job boards, and this is really important, and I think I've said this to you before, if you want to concentrate on the job boards, you're going to get a 1 to 3% response rate. Think about that, Dasha. So if you have 1 to 3%, you send out 100 resumes, you're going to hear back from 3 people?
Wow.
I think your time's more valuable than that.
It is, yes. I don't like the statistics.
Well,
It means you gotta put more work.
Yeah. You're doing a lot of inefficient work. It's about efficiency, and networking makes you more efficient. It might be a little bit harder when you get started, and if you're introverted and shy and you don't really like talking to people, it's a hard thing. I'm not going to tell you it's easy.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and you got to get your arms around it.
Yeah. Gladly, I'm in psychology, so I love people. I love talking to them. So I don't think I'll have any problems with networking.
When I worked with you, I learned that pretty fast. You like to talk, which is and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. But it is so important because 1 to 3%, that's not good enough, and that's not 1 to 3% interviews. That's not 3 interviews per 100. That's 3 responses. Yeah. The ATS creates black holes. And the ATS doesn't always respond back that they received your resume. It just falls into a black hole, and they have too many resumes to read through to be able to contact everybody and say thank you but no thank you. And even if you use the ATS and you fall into the yes pile, and there's 300 applicants for that entry-level communications job, and they get, just for argument's sake, 50 that fall into the yes pile, they still got to contact 50 people. They won't even contact all of those 50.
Yeah.
So how do you get around that black hole? Network.
Networking, yes.
And when you're done networking, what are you going to do? You can network again.
Yes.
Yeah. And one more time, network.
Networking. I can say it a lot.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Fire away.
Is it important to follow up? Like when I send the resumes and if they don't answer, is it important for me to follow up?
It's very important to follow up. And there's only so much you can do, because remember, we're playing in their game. They own the cards. Okay, it's not an employee's market. Okay, people like to say, well, it's an employee's market. There's so many jobs out there. Well, that's never really been true. Even 4 or 5 years ago, when people were talking about how it's so easy to get a job, it's the employer's game. You're still playing in it. Whenever you send out your resume, you should always try to get the name of the person, as I mentioned, because personalization will increase your response rate. So when you're addressing your cover letter, which we'll talk about in a moment, always try to get the name of that person. But you always want to follow up, and you should follow up the week after you send out the resume. So today is the 27th. You follow up the week of the 1st. So you follow up the following week, giving you 5 days to follow up. And you can follow up, you try to follow up by phone, you try to get somebody on the phone. We all know sometimes that's difficult and frustrating and stressful and aggravating and etc. But if you have their name, you can call them, or at least you can write them an email. You can always get their email, or you can send them a note on LinkedIn on the LinkedIn email feature. But always follow up. The follow up is not so much about, I sent in my resume, I really like an interview. I mean, that's subtly implied. The follow up is about making sure the resume was received and that the resume was read.
Right. Yes.
That's the most important thing. You got to get the resume read. And with all the resumes that are going through the system, you don't always know if it's read. Now, networking, going back to the networking thing again, which I harp on so hard with everybody, you're going to give yourself a better chance to have the resume read, because somebody's actually handling it, and they bring it to their colleague and say, you got to check out this resume. This girl Dasha she looks like a really good candidate for us. But if you got to network, and you got to follow up, because otherwise you're going to fall in the black hole, and it's going to take you longer to find what you're looking for.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so I hope that addressed your question.
Yes, it does.
So I alluded to something a moment ago, and it was about cover letters. And most people, when I talk about cover letters, their eyes hit the back of their head. They just roll their eyes and whatever. Well, cover letters are important, and I hope you've taken that to heart from our last conversation. That if you have the name of the person, always personalize the cover letter. You don't have to change the cover letter that we worked on that much. Little tweak here and a little tweak there, like I taught you. Little tweaks, 1 to 2 minute tweaks, not 25-minute tweaks. Yeah. But always try to get the person, and always, if there's certain words that you might have to tweak within the letter, which I taught you how to be able to do, and then you follow up the week after. But when people say, nobody reads cover letters anymore, and I'm like, yeah, the people that say that are people that they don't want to write one, because they hate writing them, so they justify it by saying nobody reads them anymore. As I told you, unless it says send your resume only, always send the cover letter. When you're networking, you might not need the cover letter. Have you, through your networking, have they asked for cover letters or resumes and cover letters?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so
A few times.
So it's kind of, it's ad hoc basically. It's like,
but it's still important to have them.
Yeah, always have it in your hip pocket. Okay, because if it's used as a screening tool. So even if you're sending something into the ATS, and they have 300 resumes and 40 people send cover letters, they're going to be like, well, at least these people sent the cover letter. This is a communications job, my goodness. Let's see what they have to write. And therefore, those that didn't send the cover letters, they might fall to the bottom of the pile, or they might not even get considered.
I got you. Yeah. I remember it.
Yeah, keep that in mind, because the hiring managers still read them. In my business, I write resumes for people all across the board, whether they could be interns, whether they're and across all different job classifications, all different industry classifications. Whether it could be product management, it could be finance, sales, marketing, communications, skilled trades, and craftsmen, like plumbers, like electricians, drywallers, videographers, graphic designers, and some of them are individual contributors, and some of them are managers, and some of them are senior level managers. And you ask the ones that are managers and senior level managers, I talk to them all the time, every day. I talk to people in all different positions. I see a lot of resumes, and I read a lot of resumes, and I talk to a lot of people. When you ask the senior level people, they say, I read cover letters.
That must be fun.
It's interesting because I get to learn an awful lot about the world of work. And I understand the world of work a little. I have a different vantage point on the world of work and how the workplace works, so to speak. Workplace works. So it is a lot, and I get to meet a lot of very interesting people and a lot of very good people, solid people who really care about their careers. They really want to move forward, and they look to hire somebody like me to kind of help guide them through the job search process, to be able to have a resume that is applicant tracking system compliant, that keeps them moving along through the process and makes it easy for them. I learn from them, they learn from me, and I like to think that these come out as very fruitful relationships, especially when they come out with a great resume, great cover letter, a great LinkedIn profile, but then they learn how to use it.
Yeah.
And they're just not putting stuff out there on Indeed. Doing a job, those are the worst job searches. So I'm glad that you're not doing that and you're staying away from that. And recruiters are kind of the same thing. And I love recruiters. I have friends who are recruiters. You probably have friends who are recruiters.
I do.
But they will be the first to tell you they don't work for you. They work for somebody else.
Yeah.
So they're only the jobs that they have in their briefcase. Okay, the briefcase being kind of a metaphor, because nobody carries briefcases anymore. But the jobs that they have in their briefcase or in their portfolio are the jobs that they have. They're not there to go look for jobs for you. If you're going to find some recruiters who will go out there and say, yeah, I'll do the job search for you, they're full of garbage. They don't have anything going. And they'll say, well, I'll do it for you and you give me X amount. They're not going to work that hard for you. Fact is, recruiters work for somebody else. Don't rely on them. 3 to 5% of your time. And if all our recruiter friends and acquaintances were sitting in this room, they'd be nodding their heads like this. Absolutely, Alan. Thank you, because you just made my life a lot easier, because I don't have to take those phone calls anymore from people who think that I'm going to do their job search for them. So, it's but between resumes, you have a solid resume now. It's fundamentally sound. It's applicant tracking system compliant. You have a strong cover letter that I've taught you both how to tweak both of the documents. We need to work on that LinkedIn profile. We'll get that up to speed when the time is right for you. I know you're a busy woman, but when the time is right, we'll take care of that.
Thank you.
And and we've talked about before, and now we're talking about it again, the importance of managing your job search correctly and networking. And one thing about managing your job search correctly is being efficient with your time. Don't waste time saying that I'll send out all my resumes at night to the, whether the people or in the interface. You're just getting caught in the electronic pile. Stay with the 10 to 4 rule, 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock, Monday through Thursdays, never on weekends, never at night, and never on Fridays, because most people are checked out on Fridays.
And not on holidays.
Never on holidays. No, because treat holiday as the weekend.
Yeah.
Because if you're sending it in directly to somebody, they come back in the office. They have all the other email they have to deal with for their full-time commitments, and now they have they have resumes. You might easily get glazed over.
Okay.
We went off for a lot of good stuff here, Dasha. We talked about your resume. We've talked about job search best practice, especially the networking thing. I know I harp on it a lot, but it's that important to rely on the job boards. Like I said, you're lucky to get a 1%. To rely on the recruiters, 3 to 5% of your time should be spent there. They only have what's in their briefcase, so to speak. Cover letters super important. Don't let anybody tell you it's not, because they don't know what they're talking about. And your LinkedIn profile, we'll beef that up. We'll get that taken care of. Most important thing is that we're going to make it consistent with the resume, and I'm going to teach you how to change it as you keep adding on new certifications, new training, and even new jobs. So I think you're in pretty good shape with the resume I did. You're always going to have questions. You're always going to have concerns. Don't be shy. Always feel free to call me. I'm happy to be able to help you.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome. Stay in touch with me. I like my clients
Sounds
staying in
good.
touch.
Yeah.
Let me know how things work out. Like I said, you're going to have questions, but you're in good shape.
Thank you
Okay?
so much, Allan.
Listen, thank you for coming and joining me
Of
today. I
course.
appreciate it.
Again, thank you for having me here and explaining all this.
More than happy to.
Now I'm ready to go.
Okay. Looking to hear good news soon.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Networking is the best way to be able to find what you're looking for. The more time you spend on the generic job boards, the Monsters, the Glassdoors, the Indeeds, and even using the one-click apply method on LinkedIn, it all seems to be nice and easy, but honestly, it's not a good use of your time. The best way to find the best jobs is through networking. Why do I say that? Because the best jobs aren't published. I'll repeat that. Their best jobs are not published. And that's where you access the hidden job market. The hidden job market is defined by leveraging your network to be able to find the jobs that need to be filled, but you're not going to be able to find on LinkedIn. You're not going to find it on a company website. You're not going to find it on a generic job board. You're not going to find it on an industry association website. You're only going to find it through networking. Those are the best jobs. They pay better. They have more responsibilities. They're more interesting. They're more dynamic. So if you want to be able to find the best jobs, don't waste your time on the generic job boards and the other avenues I mentioned. Network like crazy. You'll find what you're looking for. Network, network, and network to be able to access the hidden job market. Well, everybody, my first podcast is complete. I hope you enjoyed my podcast, Allan Brown Resume and Job Hunting Podcast that we just produced. I want to thank my friend Dasha, my videographer Chris, my director Anastasia, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking time to listen to what I had to say. I hope that you were able to find the information about resumes and LinkedIn profiles, cover letters, and networking. Network, network, and network. It's the best way to find work. You gotta network and don't rely on the job boards. I hope you found all this to be interesting. There's plenty of good content coming up much sooner than later. Please take some time, follow me, write comments, let me know what you thought, let me know what you think I could have done better, let me know what you would like to hear moving forward. So this will be a regular thing. Until next time, I'm looking forward to being able to provide everybody with the best content possible to make your job search that much more efficient and effective. Until then, enjoy your day.